Greetings people, what's happening? My name is Dr. Clarence and welcome back to TV7 Live, where we get to give you all the hottest and top trending topics. Proof Zimbabwe sold. RBZ Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe owners revealed. And Britain, United States over 10% ADB shares. Welcome guys pa Nhau Dzevakavhurika. Nhau Dzevakavhurika. What is happening here in Zimbabwe? As you can see guys, by the title of the video, I'm gonna prove to you that Zimbabwe was sold, literally sold, okay? And we're gonna talk about what these guys will do next. All right, Victoria Falls to become a city for the elite class. Stock exchange to move to Victoria Falls, and we're going to talk about massive protests that may happen just like the Arab Springs here in Zimbabwe. So I'm going to be giving you evidence guys so we can understand what is happening. This information, you don't get it anyway. This information, I'm not just anybody. No. Because a lot of people don't want to tell the people the truth. Because people are just looking for views and relevance on social media. But I am here to speak it all, to expose it as it is, says Zvirikuitika, so we can see what is happening. Guys, as we are sleeping, as we are seated, some people vari kugadzira nhaka yevazukuru vevazukuru vavo zvekuti vazukuru vevazukuru vavo havachazombofa vakasenza zvakare. What these guys think, they think vanotora murungu vouya vomupa zvinhu zvese zvedu, mamaini, minda. Isusu tonzi ndisu vekushanda, kushandira vamwe zvonzi takucreatirai mabasa. Asi no, hatina kupusa man, hatina kupusa. We are seeing, and this should end. This should stop. Zimbabwe is for Zimbabweans. Zimbabwe is for everybody. Nyaya yekutora mareserve bank echikonge private companies, it's really bad. So guys, I'm gonna show you videos. This is touching guys. This is touching. What is happening? What is happening is very zvinotsangwisa, zvinotokumbura, zvinototsangwisa. Right, I'll take you back to history, but before I take you back to history, I want to show you a video ya 2019. Then I'm going to take you kwazvakatangira, where it all started. In this video, I want you to listen to what Mtuli is saying. This is a video ya 2019. We're going to listen to what this guy is saying. It said
in 2025.
Thank you very much, Tom. Zimbabwe certainly on its way to a better place on the fiscal front because we're managing to walk the talk, we're balancing the budget. We've recorded a fiscal surplus averaging $100 million a month for the last 4 months since we last met, so things are looking good.
So this guy is saying fiscal surplus averaging 100 million a month. Masivu 70 muchua pamari.
This is stabilizing the currency as well. You know, I did say last time Zimbabwe is the cheapest buy in Africa. It has just gotten
Listen to what this guy is saying. Listen to what this guy is saying by Bloomberg. Listen.
You know, I did say last time Zimbabwe is the cheapest buy in Africa. It has just gotten
Listen. I'm going to rewind this.
Good. This is stabilizing the currency as well. You know, I did say last time Zimbabwe is the cheapest buy in Africa. It has just gotten cheaper because we've instituted monetary policy reforms.
This guy instituted monetary policy reforms and made Zimbabwe cheaper. Fellow Zimbabweans, if you think you have someone who is representing you, you are wrong. This is happening right now. And Zimbabwe is just gotten cheaper. This is Bloomberg TV Kupi. I say Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe are cheaper. And teacher wanna who go back so that we can see who sent Mtuli to Zimbabwe and what he really stands for. Alright. This is a very dangerous video for me. I do not care. Okay.
We have a domestic currency. It is floating. I think we're back in the game again.
Right. You're back in the game again.
I think we are back in the game. Who? I will show you who the we is in the next video.
Again, and as you lead within your reform report, it is about governance and the age-old issue of corruption across too many nations.
You're saying corruption now. When a black indigenous African invests, it's called corruption. But if it's a white supremacist, whatever they call it, whatever, they call them an investor. FDI.
How is a mathematician handling improved governance within Zimbabwe?
We are tough on corruption. We're determined to improve our governance. We've made an incredible progress in dealing with our...
When they say improving governance, they mean involving the British. I will show you the video, 2011 video. Yeah. Varumi vachiplana their agenda, vachiplana their move, what they're gonna do next in Africa. It is here, it is there. Everybody, we need to spread this message. 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 Otherwise, we will wake up 5% in Zimbabwe. All right. Something is going to happen. The COVID-19 is going to happen within 90 days. Something is going to happen, and I'm going to tell you what is happening. What is going to happen? Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. I see mistake. I see move. It's planned. This thing. It's planned so that they can move it to Victoria Falls. Right? So they're gonna. Hey.
State-owned enterprises.
Give us an example.
Yes, we have, for instance, separated the grain marketing board into two separate entities. One that is government controlled, and another that is commercial. That will go along. So
these guys, they've taken the Zimbabwe grain marketing board and privatized it and given it to somebody else, private player. Who is the private player? Those guys, those people are not you, they are not me. Why did you make it private? Why didn't you make it a public limited company? Same thing at you must talk shares.
Long way in cleaning up the governance of that institution. We've also
governance.
bundled.
So cleaning up, these guys, cleaning up simply means kuvisa munumtema indigenous wachisa murungu.
Zesa, which is our electricity supply company, into one entity. It used to be 5 entities, and again, we're cleaning the governance around that institution. It will be more efficient and will result in better service delivery. All the way through, we're improving governance and we're tough on corruption, but also shining the torch on corruption. Recently, we removed the previous anti-corruption commission, and we're nominating new members and going to strengthen that commission and allow it to do its job.
Minister, I want to ask you about the currency. Will the government disclose the volume of trading on the new currency?
Oh, the last week we traded 7.5 million roundabout there. This was just the beginning. I remember that for the last 10 years, Zimbabwe has had a fixed currency regime, 1-to-1 to the US dollar. And so the trading has started. It can only get better. We're also trying to improve the market microstructure. And
now listen, zikuenda ne video ya nezero ya mangunjika achiti anoda inflation ari kuti maprice adzike. Right? Achicomplaina. Mangunjika achiti ari kuti vari vemuZimbabwe vatengesere vanhu chikafu inonzi side marketing. Video irimo mu description box ndagara ndatoisa link yachona ya mangunjika zvakare. This guy kuti for the past 10 years mari yake 1:1 ezvine zvabo takagadzira bondage note risiri 1:1 saka ine zvabo uyaimite yamunoda akomana. And Zimbabwe are cheaper. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The architecture of that market, and we'll see it improve quite a bit over time and begin to fluctuate properly. It has allowed us to also...
And fluctuate properly. Fluctuate properly. Kutamba ne marets vakomana. It's by design. It's not accident. It's by design.
Introduce proper monetary policy.
Proper for who?
Policy. We are moving. We'll start with, for instance, targeting reserve money or high-powered money, a growth of about 10%, and then eventually move towards inflation target.
Yeah. Minister, so I get it correctly. So you're saying that the government will disclose the volume of trading in this new currency?
Oh, absolutely. We have to disclose that because that's the key to the understanding.
Disclose to who? Those guys, I will show you. Hey.
microstructure, but also government will not be a participant in the market itself. We want to allow the market to participate. We should stay out of the market. We'll stay out, otherwise we will distort the market.
Minister, the mines minister just said that Zimbabwe will actually scrap the 51% local ownership requirement for
inzwai munzwi apa papa munyika medu vanoda kutoti vatoita varidzi vezvinhu ownership ina ndina properties kunze kwenyika yakakona na Switzerland kwaminako kwamunosvika kutorerwa nemamaster enyu meni. An ordinary Zimbabwe doesn't have those things. Do you see what these guys are doing? Zimbabwe yaenda komana. Zimbabwe is gone. Zimbabwe is gone. Zimbabwe is gone. It's gone.
51% local ownership requirement for platinum mines. What will the new level be?
Platinum, you are enemy.
Or you can own 100% of the any mining investment, any investment in Zimbabwe. That's what is coming through. We're removing that.
Move us to our guys. Let me rewind.
Of the any mining investment, any investment in Zimbabwe. That's what is coming through. We're removing that indigenization rule, which is discouraging foreign direct investment. Our Zimbabwe.
Even foreign Tomdi. Yamazaku, Mojami, it's actually not foreign again. Sakamarolo, boys. Speechless.
Is open for business. It can only be open if you're allowed to own 100% of investment as a foreign investor.
Well, okay.
Let me tell you, fellow Zimbabweans, we will never forget. People like me might not be here for long, but we will never forget. We will never forget. We will take what is ours. We will never forget. We will never forget. I'm going to tell you what these guys are going to do next. These guys, vachita Arab Spring muno, vachakonzera protest to push police dzavo. You will see what is going to happen. And the last protest kuti vanhu vanga vafana Nzara, right? Munhu anotanga arozwa nenzara kuti munhu aite desperate otambira whatever is coming. Ava vari kupuwa mamine, vari kupuwa land, vari kupuwa nyika yedu. Isusu tiri kupuwa 10 kg yehufu nema 2 liters of cooking oil. Atisi mapenzi, atisi matsaka man.
That sounds wonderful, Minister, but what does it mean if China shows up at the door? Are you
China ikauya?
Are you going to put a big for sale sign on Zimbabwe when China shows up with all that FDI?
Well, Zimbabwe is open for business, open for anyone. I'm here in the US, and that's been my message. If something progressive is happening, we've seen General Electric, for example, bid for building a huge power project on the Zambezi River, which will...
Power project, makakabudisa mabhiliyoni mangani kwa kudhara uko. Pane chakamboichinja here papa. How many billions? This is 2019 video. Nonsense dzekutaurwa. Nonsense. This is said. Zvinotsamwisa. Spread the message. Spread the message. Spread the message. We should not give up on our nation. We should never give up on our nation. We should never give up. We should never give up. And it's, we should never give up. No. Now I'm gonna take you to 2011. 2011. Before even Mnangagwa was president, when Mugabe was still in power. 2011. Remember 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. This is 3 years. For those of you who don't know, Zimbabwe is the richest country in the world right now as of today. But they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that. That's why munhu ashita kunzi kutodzvanyirirwa, kutotsvagwa kuti udzvanwe. Kuita kutsvagwa kuti udzvanwe. This is a 2011 video. Anditika. Mtuli Ngube. Not panenga achiti we iye nani. Later on in this video we'll see kuti anga ari kupi. I want somebody to prove all this otherwise.
Is impacting on Africa. So what we see globally, what I see.
Listen.
For which the private sector plays a part. Let me start off this way. You know, we have a view of Africa because that's our mandate. But also we
have a view of Africa because that is our mandate. That is 2011. And that is our mandate. There was an agenda, a planned agenda, way back, as early as 2011. There was an agenda. 2011. And when this guy is saying our, right? Tarsai text, Yakanyan's the institute. And it Institute of what? And European affairs. Pa institute papa. Do papa. Right? What's our mandate? Africa our mandate. Target kuplana wakagara pasi. Kugara pasi kuplana kupamba Africa.
Is in the consumer sector, they tell you that their biggest margins are probably in Africa, nowhere else.
Listen, again.
If you speak to a lot of the companies in the consumer sector, they tell you that their biggest margins are probably in Africa, nowhere else.
When they look at us, they see consumers. Those come first you are just stimulus for monetary policy. I kept to one. What not gonna send. That's why I call the bondage note. It's no fluctuator. So that you are always spending. You never save anything for your children, for your children's children. You never invest in anything. Because what are we? We are just cheap labor and consumers for these guys.
Because of this class of people. But also a lot of African countries have done very well in terms of managing their economies. I think the one thing that's often missed in my view, when we analyze the structural adjustment that took place in Africa in the 80s, where everyone concluded that it didn't work, there was no...
All right, structural adjustment, influencing the politics. That is Mtuli Nobe. So these guys, yesterday I played you a video where Mangunjika was saying side marketing varima aditi varimi vatengesere vanhu kumaraini kwavo nematengo akachipanda kuti vatengesere vanhu GMB apa tingoti GMB yakasplitwa kuita 2 GMB yekuti vhala yehurumendewo neGMB yeprivate and kumana why do we need foreign investor kana maremittances edu akawanda kufura foreign direct investment? Why do we need that? Get take my hedge fund, Devan. Get take my public limited company. Get take my public company.
We never make progress on agriculture. This is where
listen.
Right. The way Vietnam, if we don't deal with the issue of land title, some kind of ownership rights, the way Vietnam did,
if we don't deal with the ownership rights and titles, now it's talking about taking the land and giving ownership. Nobody owns the land. Nobody can own land. Nobody. Let me tell you what we will do when we are in government. We will test DNA. Who not to Zimbabwe? Oh, house. Buddha. Eda. The time will come. I might not be there. Those who will be there, never forget these times.
Never make progress on agriculture. This is where 65% of Africans live. They live on agriculture.
This is where 65% live on. They live on agriculture. They want to take that away from us. That's why tichitengesa maseeds asi drought resistant. Isusu maseeds edu African organic seeds, real seeds. Kuita maseeds zvefake zvokuti ukakurisa chibage ukazoomesa hachimeri. Not those ones.
But again, it's a very difficult space in my view. It's very political. Sometimes it's strongly cultural. Chiefs have something to say in it.
Clearly, it shows that are disgusted. They are chiefs, right? That is the African model. Africa munofana kutongwa nemamonarchy. machief nemasabhuku, because ndo vane link nevanhu. Those are the ones that are always gonna be there. Kwete zvezvi zvakatozounzirwa izvi zvemaimperialist zvemameya nemakansela, right? Kuafrica sei kubritain kuchina kuine zvino izvi, sei kune maprince ana prince Charles, sei kuna na Duke of chakadaro, monarchy system. But these guys, they brought democracy, they brought my election after every 5 years. What development income 5 years, man? Democracy is not for Africa. It's not. Tifana ngituniwe system yokuti aiwa democracy kwa Harare chete. Kumamisha kwedu ngakutongwe machief, ngakutongwe mamambo, ngakutongwe masabuku. But machief edu anongopinda parliament zozwe. Zvongonzi vapindawo. Ukaona chief chaya anosunga muno muZimbabwe, chief. Ushauti chief na president ari pamusoro pemwe ndiani?
It's very complex, not easy. But if we don't deal with it, we'll never.
So we should know who this guy was standing for. This is 2011. Right? Ngatinzwe futhi kumberi. Ngatinzwe kuti ari kuti chii. And the leveraging migration for Africa remittances skewed, and in 2011 leverage.
Percent of Africans do not live in there, so they live, and 64% live in Africa, and then the remainder then live in other countries outside other regions outside Africa. And so, and these Africans, the African diaspora, send home something like $40 billion a year. $40 billion a year, and that's the same as the amount of ODA that Africa receives. In fact, if in foreign direct investment in Africa is usually the order of 50 billion. So if you add the diaspora remittances plus the foreign direct investment, that's more than ODA. But then what happens with the diaspora remittances, because they're never pooled together. You send money to your family, like I still send my money, my family's money. It's directed, it's for education, or it's for supporting an elderly person. It's very, very directed, very private, but it's not pooled. So
Terrans is very private, but it's not pooled. Listen.
Its impact, therefore, is not, what can I say, it's not as you can't leverage it. You can't leverage it.
Leverage, kuita sei chama? Leverage kushandisa kakuitisa ka leverage. Kuita sei kuita leverage? Kuita sei? Tusika mchimanikiza vanhu kubenga mari. Ezvidezvi iko keshi kuihalasa kuti vanhu vaendese mari kuna old mutual. Old mutual ndiani?
Like you do with FDI or with ODA. You can't leverage it, but it's not to be scoffed at. It's a big chunk. And I think more effort should be made to see how this could be harnessed and pulled together so that it becomes.
Now, this guy wants to get up, manja. This guy, what this guy is saying.
It's inclusion in many dimensions. I'll come to this in a moment. So it's good growth, strong growth, but not inclusive enough. Where is African growth coming from? Really in the Middle East. So it's done.
Now listen.
What should we be doing, and what should our partners be doing? Now, if you take a look at this chart, you will see that Africa has been the third fastest.
This is the Institute of International and European Affairs. These guys are not talking about the developing Africa. No, they're talking about leveraging. They're talking about exploitation of Africa. This is 2011.
It's the growing region in the world after Asia, really in the Middle East. So it's done very well in the last 10 years. And in fact, coming out of the financial crisis, Africa was growing something like 6.2%. And it dipped to about 2.6% in 2009, and then it came back up. And last year we recorded 4.9%. Then this year we expect something like 5.7%. and next year an average rate of growth of the order of more 6.1%, above 6 again. So quite robust, resilient growth in the last 10 years. And I think that has got to do with some of the partners who have done a good job in helping Africa. I must say that the African economy is still small, by the way, by global standards. Its size is up.
So when this guy is saying the African economy is still small, we should understand what economy means to these guys. Economy doesn't mean wealth. It has something to do with trading. The wealth of a nation is measured by the amount of gold and mineral deposits in it. And Zimbabwe is the richest country in the world, but these guys introduced gross domestic product so they could exploit GDP. Now they are measuring the wealth by how much you are exploited, by how much you export. Right? Most of these companies that are here now, the British owns shares. So they're just sleeping, they do not have resources, but they're just administering.
About 1.7 trillion. I'm going to use American dollars because that's what we use, and which is the same size as the whole of Brazil or Russia. But the population is 1 billion people at least. So population, economic size, you can see that the income per capita can only be smaller. But by definition. So, and what's been missing in this strong growth in Africa is really what I call inclusive growth, which is really explains the Arab Spring. And it's inclusive.
Inclusion, which really explains the Arab Spring. The thing that was lacking is inclusion, which really explains the Arab Spring. Now we're going to go to the Arab Spring. This guy is saying which really explains the Arab Spring. Is there an Arab Spring right here in Africa right now? What is the Arab Spring? Okay. Now the Arab Spring, according to Wikipedia, the Arab Spring, the Arab Spring. Let me scroll down. Political scientist Mark Lynch described Arab Spring as a term I may have unintentionally coined in January 2011 for Foreign Policy magazine. Joseph Massad on Al Jazeera said the term was part of US strategy of controlling the movement's aim and goals and directing it towards Western-style liberal democracy. When Arab Spring protests in some countries were followed by electoral success for Islamist parties, some American pundits coined the term Islamist Spring and Islamist Winter. Now, some observers had also comparisons between Arab Spring movements and revolutions of 1989, also known as Autumn of Nations, that swept through Eastern Europe and Second World in the Second World in terms of their scale and significance. Others, however, have pointed out there are several key differences between the movements, such as the desired outcomes, take note, desired outcomes and effectiveness of civil resistances, and the organizational role of internet-based technologies in Arab revolutions. We will see protests happening here in Zimbabwe. And let me tell you guys, these guys are not opposition. These guys, they are pushing an agenda. And right now we will see they will be calling for protests. It pop up, less than 30 days, they will be calling for protests. But when these guys, they buy party assets, they put them in their names. This is an article that 7 May 2014. BT grabs MDCT assets. Let's go down. MDC leader Morgan Tsvangirai and his Secretary General TDC factions are headed for a nasty legal battle over control of the party assets. The assets, which include offices and vehicles, are believed to be registered in the company in the name of BT, which is a director, amid indications that they were registered under the latest company. It is understood that about 50 MDCT vehicles and more than 10 offices countrywide were registered under Laponic Enterprises, whose directors are BT, Elton Mangoma, and coordinator for police and research Fortune Gwaze. So all these fights, Zvirikuitika, the MDC Alliance, the MDCT, it's drama, it's wrestling. That's why you see they never talk about issues like this issue that I'm talking about right here, because it's drama. Though anoshandiswa kuitisa vanhu maprotest machichichichi, we all saw what happened the last protest vanhu vanga vafa nenzara, right? So tikada kuti pepuke, tikada kuti muke, munoitika Arab Spring muno muZimbabwe, people will disappear. My machinations ko my assets a political party anoregister kwa mazita evanhu sei, andicho chizani PF chachona here ichocho, isn't it? So you will always be waiting for the next election after next election after next election. Voita chihondo chavo zvakadini, harvest house vanhu vese kuti jandi kuti vamwe vanhu vapinde basa, kuti vamwe vanhu vagadzire pfuma dzevana vavo. What do you have? What do we have? Why are party assets in individuals' names? Just saying, government, right? Then this one also, Companies Act Chapter 24. We call a company runs the Pelvin Investments Private, registered in 2010. Address National Property, Harvest House, Kauton Wende, Nelson Chamisa. Do one of the company. So, fellow Zimbabweans, you are on your own. We are on our own. Do not be used. How do we take back our nation? How do we bring back Zimbabwe to the Zimbabweans? Do question chayo. Are we gonna wait for the next election, or we're gonna take action right now? Tikapusa, those guys will cause divisions. We will be fighting each other. Tinopedzana munom, tinorayana munom, tikaenda pa desperation. Iyo vari ku Victoria Falls. It will happen. It will happen, guys. It will happen.
The point is about natural resources. I think that African countries must put in place and develop sovereign wealth funds if they've got natural resources. Botswana has done an excellent job in that. That's already a model to follow. And countries like Gabon, Nigeria, now you've got Uganda coming through. They should all develop or put in place sovereign wealth funds, so the revenues from natural resources are managed transparently, and then you can do a three-way asset allocation, which is support the current expenditure, from the revenues. Number two, invest in infrastructure. Number three, lock away a portion for future generations, which is tough.
Lock away a portion for future generations.
Lock away a portion for future generations, which is tucked away somewhere. So that is I feel very strongly about this point about how natural resources are managed in Africa. It can't be that having natural resources is a curse, always a curse. It can't be. Surely it's an opportunity.
And this guy says surely it's an opportunity.
Dealing with the illicit financial flows, I've already referred to piracy as a big issue.
All right. So I hope I'm wrong on this one. I pray that I'm wrong. I wish to be very, very wrong in this hypothesis. I wish to be very wrong in this debate, in this question. I wish I am very, very wrong in my assumptions. I wish to be very wrong in my observations. I wish to be wrong. I pray that I'm wrong. But whatever happens, fellow Zimbabweans, let us never, never, never forget these times let us never forget who we are. We can't have our children inherit poverty. That is we can't, we don't want sellouts in this country. We do not want those. Kamuti tongo gara kafirigwe. Tongo general. I'm just gonna read some of your comments. Tongo gara kafirigwe kuti maveta wekuita mari kuno kudeswa chiti exploiter. Agripa Nkomo, Welen Sanangura, I'm just going to read in comments. Star, whatever. Vimbai, Ziri spread this, guys. Spread this message. We want Zimbabweans to move into entrepreneurship. We want you guys to start pulling my funds together. Let's start my community development banks. Let us start my building societies. Let us start my hedge funds. Let us take what is ours, because Zimbabwe is for Zimbabweans, and we know how these guys operate. As nyaya yakatanga kuipa apa pana 2014, 2013, 2014. They don't want stability, they want inflation. Right? Pane video yamangunjika iri pasa apa endesa pa link. These guys, they want that. Deliverance maponga should say tafazwa mshabai wa Starjet sunyama jiri say and kikiki chirungu changa chanjenga aminoti nyaya yako ndechipa papa anditika usibasa rechizve chirungu sell out ayona. Big up to Maximo Mazarura, big up to Simba Shambare, Zunyama says, I always tell you to one day is one day, yours shall come. Democracy Network. Democracy, look at the participating all over Europe. We have kings and queens. Yes, democracy, the came. Remember, war is peace. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Remember, war is peace and freedom is slavery. And ignorance is a blessing. Marco Polo, Norman Mugari, Moses Mashumbas, agenda yevanhu ava ndechi vachingopinda. Spread the message. 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 Lanix Mtuli, Noku Hadeb. MDC doesn't have anything to do for poor people. Spread the message. Spread the message. We should come up with a plan. How are we going to mobilize our people? One have access to information. One have access to internet. But there is a plan in plan, which I'm not going to say here. We are Zimbabweans, and Zimbabweans must come first. We don't want to reverse indigenization. Kutoti maZimbabweans 65% vari kutotora farming yacho na iyoyo. Toita yedu totora mari tolivareja. So kutora mari dzavainadzo dzavari kutumirwa totora toita dzedu tolivareja. Nyeba, umbofa farani yes, nyeba. No matter what you do, it's impossible. Blessing Bikinya. It's unfortunate Zimbabweans very authoritarian. They are always looking for somebody to kuti avatonge. That's how we were trained. Kubva kuchikoro tichimiswa muline kubvira tiri vana vadiki uchiona munhu anopiwa chidhori chechirungu chine vhudzi rakareba. Handiti chikoro chidzi mirai muline, imai kupinda mutoilet munomira muline, chikafu munomira muline. You're being prepared. Slave mentality. Handiti that's why vanhu vacharamba vachingoitiswa. Asi kuti vanhu vavhurike pfungwa vanoda kuvhurwa pfungwa nedoctrine. We need the People's Manifesto inodhila nemaproblem evanhu chaivo. Izvi nezvemangudya haasi kutonga nyika here. Mtuli haasi kutonga nyika here. The president here. The president here. Guys, I'm gonna sign out right about now. I'm gonna be back in at 1 a.m. with another video. To those who are not subscriber, do subscribe. I'm gonna come back and now 1 a.m. I'm gonna come back. Enough respect to Webster K and Lillian Matekenya. Thank you guys for your EcoCash donations. To those who wanna support us for better quality, kuti avoid the whole internet yema satanist, internet yembava yakadhakwa. So that we can use a bit. As you can see with the video, I'm going to floor because of your support, guys. So to those who want to support TVCN Live, the details are on the screen right now. The number is 0773-390-967. Enough respect to everybody who was watching us live right about now. Big up to everybody. Noko adebu, you are right. I project yekudivert vanhu. Vari vese vakomana vanoita wrestling so that you can have a false sense of hope. Whatever happens, fellow Zimbabweans, musafe makabvuma kuita maprotest. Munoitika hondo. America kana China kana zvichirwisana hondo zvinorwisana kuAfghanistan, zvinorwisana kuIraq. Sei zvisingarwisani muAmerica kana muChina? Why? Dr. Clarence is the name. TV7 Live is the channel. And so internet yakadakwa. I'm out.